Okay, hi everyone. So, with the advent of GTA 5 coming out in the PC, I thought what we'd do here is we'd take a look back, a retrospective look at the series as a whole, and see, how far it's came and what we can kind of learn from it. So, just before we jump in here with the original GTA, a couple of things we've mentioned. We're only going to look at most of the GTA games. Not going to bother with any of the handheld games because to be honest, if nothing else, they'd be too difficult to capture. Plus, at that point, it would probably take us about 5 years because there's millions of GTA games, if we're including all the ones in the Game Boys and the PSPs and so forth. So we're not going to look at any of the mobile games, and we're not going to look at any of the expansion packs. Again, just because it would give us so many more games to look at. And a lot of that stuff, they're really cool and some have some nice and interesting ideas and some kind of different stuff going for them, but realistically, they don't add much really to the series. They're very much the games that they're based on, they just kind of represent that with some palette changes and some changes here and there. So I don't feel like they're worth looking at, but we'll look at the mainline series, all the mainline series games. So here we have Grand Theft Auto 1. This is the original, this is where it all started. If this seems like it's running a bit weird, it's because, trying to run GTA in a modern PC is not trivial. These older games are very finicky, so it might be a little bit weird, but, we'll get through it nonetheless. Just before we start playing, it's worth mentioning the three cities featured in the original GTA, Liberty, Vice, and San Andreas, are kind of like the big ones for the series. They've appeared repeatedly. Obviously, Liberty City has reappeared twice in GTA 3 and again in GTA 4, and San Andreas obviously appearing in San Andreas itself and also more recently in GTA 5. Worth mentioning though, maybe Vice City only appearing other than that in Vice City, so maybe a minor point, but maybe something to think about for GTA 6. Chances are pretty decent that they would round out the set of three by throwing Vice City in there. But, that's just all speculation on my part. But anyway, I'm going to jump back here and use this because it's a cheat for all the weapons, and we're just going to fun about a little bit in this. So, obviously, the first thing that's worth mentioning here is top-down perspective. Totally different graphically from what you'd be used to. I think the other thing that's worth noting, I might not be very good at this, by the way, because it's not easy to control. It's been a long time for me personally since I've ever played the original. Let's just give myself all of the weapons. I think it's interesting to note that, doing crazy things like killing people. Oops, I accidentally killed myself there. That's a real show of quality. Killing people, running people over, all that kind of stuff. It pops off the kind of high score kind of type notifications of like, hey, great, you got 1,000 points for that, which, I don't know, it seems really bizarre when you think about where the series is now. Oh dear, I'm on fire again, I'm going to die again. Yeah. When you think about where the series has ended up now, it's really quite jarring actually, and it's kind of weird to me that the modern games get all the stick for being too violent and murder simulators, whereas this of all of them, I think, is the game that kind of most, I don't want to say celebrates, but most tries to kind of be like, hey, you kill people, have points. The rest of them obviously are way more serious in tone. There's actions and reactions. You go around and you kill people for sure, but then in the next mission it's like, yeah, these guys are after you now because you killed them, or the cops or all of you. There's Yeah, it feels very weird to look back at this and kind of where the series goes, because obviously it's way more serious nowadays, and to kind of look at that where it's kind of wacky and bizarre and very gamey feels just very, very weird. So all your missions in this game come in the form of, obviously, those little messages that you saw at payphones earlier. There's no I mean, there's police voiceover in this game. There's some voices here and there, but there's no, there's no full voices. There's no real cutscenes. It's very much the story and missions are delivered through that kind of, generic kind of voice, and there's payphone stuff. Yeah, obviously the 2D nature of GTA 1 was necessary at the time. It was a good choice, I think, but it's kind of weird to go back to now, and it holds up fine, I think, but it's not terribly exciting. It's a bit pixely here and there, and I think, as I found out myself in the process of trying to capture this, the resolution stuff is very, very weird for this. Hopefully I'll be able to fix that in post-production, but we'll see. But yeah, at this point, you know what, I'm just going to shoot some people and go out in a blaze of glory if I can. But the policeman touched me, so now I'm arrested. So yeah, and there you can see at the bottom your criminal record, almost kind of like, again, like a high score thing, kind of gamifying the whole thing. But yeah, that's kind of GTA 1, like there's some side mission stuff, there's rampage stuff, there's some other bits and pieces in there, but that's kind of it. There's not really that much to it, and there kind of wasn't until much later in the series. So yeah, it's a good jumping off point, and I think it's important to see where it came from. And there's definitely some of the elements that go on to make GTA later in the series are here, but you have to appreciate this is super early days for the series, and it is very, very different. I think tonally and aesthetically, and just in a lot of different ways, it's very, very different from what this series ended up going on to be, even though it is kind of the same in a lot of ways as well. So yeah, without further ado, let's move on to Grand Theft Auto 2. Here we are with GTA 2. So we're just gonna start a new game, and we'll kind of look at what's different. First thing you notice is different is that it looks a little bit nicer even than one. Still top-down perspective, but it's I feel a little bit cleaner, a little bit sharper. The big difference though, still got the point values for killing people, which I still think is kind of ridiculous. The big difference is you've got 3 factions now, depending on how you act. They'll become happier or angrier with you, which is interesting because it's really the first game of its sort to kind of lean super heavily into it, so it's something super common nowadays. It's obviously something that other games have done at this time, but it's something that I think was still kind of relatively new and interesting idea. So yeah, new cars, new weapons, it was a new location. I forget the name of this city, but this was pretty much, I think, aside from London, GTA London, which was an expansion pack we're not going to look at for the original game. This was the first one that wasn't set in fact, it would be the only GTA game that's not been set in Liberty Vice or San Andreas. So yeah, you'll notice I've got the 3 factions. I can go to the arrows, take missions, and obviously the missions will, I'll be doing things that will raise my standing with them and probably lower one of the other ones, and I have to try and balance kind of who I'm doing missions for and how that kind of works out. It's a pretty good game. GTA 2. I kind of don't know what really else to say about it, because it's very, very similar to GTA 1. You've still got the chattering kind of cop face at the top that you can only really get rid of with a paint spray or with picking up a cop bribe collectible. I'm mowing these leads down. It's not even a big deal. 2 o'clock places on me now. Oh, I've been busted. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say about GTA 2. This is is not a very complicated game. It's very much still, they added some new systems on, like the different factions and the faction rep stuff, which I think is pretty cool. But other than that, and I'm running around punching these dudes, it's just kind of, it's still the same game. You still get missions from payphones. You still have the silly little chattery voices telling you what to do. There's still rampage missions and that kind of thing. Again, it's kind of, you can see where the DNA for the GTA series is. You can kind of see where they're going. You can see how they got there from where they are. Kind of all the ingredients are here, but given the time this came out, obviously, it kind of comes together in a very different way. So yeah, there's not really... There's a way I forget what it is to take control of this train. I don't know. I'm just farting around now. I should stop. So yeah, this is GTA 2. The last of the 2D GTA games now. Before we kind of jump into the more modern, more recognisable, or I should say, the games are more recognisable as GTA as we kind of know and have it today. So yeah, let's move on. Okay, and here we are with GTA 3. This is kind of a big deal. This was not just the games moving to 3G, but really the first time that GTA became a huge hit, and not just a niche kind of thing that was popular without being kind of very mainstream before. I'm going to skip the opening cutscene. All you really need to know is you rob a bank, the woman that robbing it with betrays you, you get sent to jail as a result, and in the middle of a prisoner transfer, a bridge blows up, a bunch of the guys run away, and you and your friend 8-Ball here escape, and you're gonna drive him to the red light district because his hands are all messed up, and oh yeah, you're the player character, so it's worth mentioning that. Oops. So I did run over that guy. So yeah, so many changes from this to one. I mean, obviously the biggest being that it's in 3D now. This is proper. I mean, it's pretty ghetto 3D. This is obviously 2001. You can see where things are made out of like 5 polygons, but it's notifiably 3D, and it's actually pretty much recognisable at this point as GTA. Gone are like the number point scores as you run over people, and instead it's just like, it's the start of, I missed it. It's the start of the more kind of recognisable, get out of the road. The more recognisable kind of tone of GTA, a bit more serious. A bit more interested in trying to create an atmosphere and trying to make something a little bit more different to the games that came before, which were kind of jaunty and weird, and they kind of get back to that a little bit in San Andreas, which we'll cover when we get to San Andreas. But really, for the most part, the other games aside from San Andreas definitely take a more kind of serious tone. There's still some Rockstar goofiness around the edges, but they definitely try to be something a little bit more cinematic and serious and kind of, dry and whatnot than the other games. So yeah, obviously you've got fully voiced here. You've got all the radio stations, like a lot of audio in this game. You've got full cutscenes for the first time. The missions definitely feel a lot better and a lot more real. Yeah, I played a lot of this game. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I played a lot of this game. Not even necessarily just the mission stuff, just funning around in this huge 3D open world. Because really, when GTA 3 came out, there wasn't really kind of anything like it. In the way that this was. no one messes. So yeah, I mean, this doesn't look great, but you know, you can see where a lot of the stuff that's now kind of trademark GTA, that's still with us in GTA 5. You can see where a lot of that jumps off in this game. You know, you've got the radio stations with the stupid ads, and um, you've got the talk radio station. I don't know how to change radio stations, to be honest, in the PC version, so I'm not going to bother trying. Oops, I didn't actually mean to get back in. Yeah, I'm getting back in the breaking down. Is there a way for me to change camera angles or anything? No, I can tell, okay. Okay, so that's how I left it, right? Yeah, this is waves of nostalgia. This is all coming back to me. Like, I remember this map like it's the back of my hand. Don't worry, we're not going to play enough to get to the kind of crazier mission of this game, like Bomb the Base, which I remember being a real pain. But yeah, this is, I mean, I think we'll just cruise about Liberty City for a minute and won't bother doing any more missions. But yeah, I mean, this is very noticeably GTA, you know, right down to the pedestrian dialogue. You've got your safe house you can save in, with the garage you put the car that you want to keep in it, and oh my, that car's about to blow up and I'm gonna get dead, aren't I? Whoops. That was maybe not right. So I just borrow that guy's car because I just need something to cruise about in. Yeah, this game was fantastic for the time. And you know what, it seems like it actually holds up better than I was expecting. You know, I mean, it does look like kind of hot garbage, to be honest. There's 8 balls, place where he puts the bombs on. I don't know if I'll be able to do that before they introduce it, in the mission. But yeah, let's see if they'll take this car. Yeah, they're totally take this car, so you can bring the cars to the scrapyard. If I remember rightly, there's like a Fast and Furious style blacklist at the docks. I think that's GTA 3, where you can go around and get the certain vehicles you're looking for, and as you take them into the garage at the docks, it will cross them off the list. Some of them were really hard to find, some of them less so. But yeah, it's got the times passing in real time. I want to say there's some form of day-night cycle. Do I not get anything for scrapping that car? That's a shame. I don't have any weapons here, but I'll go fight a dude to finish off, just to kind of show the mechanic. I mean, it's GTA, the shooting was what it was. There's no lock-on targeting. There was no real... The combat was just you have a gun, you shoot it at people's general direction until they die, you know? Yeah, eat it, man with hat. Oh. No, you want some? Oh, don't run away! Don't run away! Got blood in my shoes. Oh yeah, this is the garage that, if I remember correctly, there's a sports car in this. There is, yeah. It's like a fake Dodge Viper that I can steal. Oh, there's also one of the hidden packages. So yeah, another thing this game started was the 3D series. Oh, I don't know if I can smash the window with a weapon. It started the 3D series love of hidden packages, and collectibles and that. You know, there's pigeons in GTA 4. I don't remember what the ones in Vice City or San Andreas were, but it's hidden packages in GTA 3. I remember trying to collect all those. In fact, I can smash my way in here because I was borrowed this station wagon. I'm just gonna break into this. And it was a lot of stuff like that. It was a lot of little kind of hidden Easter egg kind of things that you wouldn't necessarily have known unless you just went looking for it, and unless you found it. And it's a game that really it created this huge open world and really encouraged you to go explore and just mess around in it, you know. Not too much in the way of side missions in this one. Obviously, Rampage is still here, and the taxi cab missions, and the ambulance. That was the one I was thinking of. The ambulance missions are still here. I can't really go on the other islands because we're too early in the game, and I'm not gonna try and cheat my way. And there was a way you could cheat if you spawned in the tank and like fired backwards. You could actually build up enough speed to go flying over the bridge and get over there before you're supposed to be. But we're not going to bother with that because I think we're pretty much done, to be honest here. Let's see if I can find the car collection mission I was telling you about, because I want to see it's down here in the docks somewhere. Oops. Yeah. It's really difficult playing this with the keyboard and mouse, by the way. Oh no. Yeah, I'm not used to playing this with the keyboard and mouse. So yeah, 6-star wanted levels. I believe this was the first kind of occasion of you could just lose the cops eventually if you kind of got out of the way of them. Here we are, yep. So there's the list of all the cars you need to try and collect. I feel like the Trash Master and the Mr. Rupee, which is the ice cream van, and the garbage truck were really difficult, if I remember rightly, to find. They didn't spawn super regularly, and neither did the armoured car actually either. But you know, you did it eventually. You played the game enough, you found those things eventually. But yeah, it's your standard GTA at this point. Your mission givers appears there on the map. You go to them, you get the cutscene about the mission, you go do the mission. Rinse and repeat as you kind of go through the game. Claude here, the protagonist that we're playing at, is an interesting one in comparison to the later protagonist, because he's a silent protagonist. He never says anything, which a lot of people disliked. I actually kind of like it, because when you compare it to the other GTA protagonists, like I never really liked CJ in San Andreas. I don't like Nico in GTA IV. He's really annoying. Again, we'll talk about that more when we come to GTA 4. And we're not going to cover GTA 5 in this video, but I wasn't really overly impressed with any of the main characters in 5 either, to be honest. You know, Michael's just kind of whiny and annoying, and Trevor's super one-dimensional. He's like, I'm crazy, and that's kind of his shtick for the whole game. You know, there's not really much more to that character, and Franklin's kind of just a stereotype. But yeah, listen, the models are super ghetto. The drawing is pretty terrible. Like, this is not a technical masterpiece or something that you should be looking at like, oh wow. But this is an incredibly important game for what it means for the GTA series. Like, for the way that the series goes after this point, the places that it goes, the things that this game kind of had jumping off, you know, all the way down to the controversy, you know, obviously, because this was the first 3D GTA, this was super controversial at the time of, it's a murder simulator, which of course it's not, you know. The game doesn't teach you to murder anyone any more than playing F1, you know, 2015 is going to help me to become McLaren's next main driver. But because it was in 3D, you know, it's seen as it's super realistic and it's a murder simulator and it's controversial, you know, and obviously the GTA series has been a pretty hot button ever since, it still is. So yeah, as you can see, you get paramedic missions in this vehicle, you get taxi missions in that one, and police missions in the police car as well. But yeah, that's GTA 3 really. There's, you know, there's more to it than this, and it's a very interesting game. But really, you get the gist of it. That is quintessentially you keep doing more missions, and you build from there. I'm gonna get out of the way of this exploding vehicle. There we go. So yeah, let's jump forward in time again and head to our next stop, Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Okay, here we are with Vice City. This one's, you know, maybe not as big an evolutionary step as GTA 3 was, but this is, you know, it's still an important game. It has its part to play in the ethos. Again, in the interest of time, I'm just going to skip the intro. All you need to know is they send Tommy to Vice City. They're doing a drug deal or something. It goes bad, and here we go. So yeah, first things first. It looks actually slightly better than GTA 3. It's not a huge difference really. Um, oh, already some MJ. Awesome. I'm going the wrong way. I want to say, so the biggest difference I want to say between this and 3 was that in GTA 3, I don't believe you could buy businesses. In this one, obviously you're able to, later in the game, not at this early point, you're able to buy businesses and make money from them and so forth. The radio's just saying just now the typical GTA thing of, hey, you can't get on the other islands right now. Hold on, I'm just going to adjust this microphone a second. There we go, that's better. I should be, yeah, paying more attention here. So yeah, there had another big difference with Vice City actually. It had some interior locations, not that many, it's not exactly, didn't go too crazy with them, but there was some building interiors for you to check out, particularly obviously your hideouts, but I remember a nightclub as well, and some other stuff. It looks, I say, I feel like it looks a little better than 3. Like that guy's face looks, I feel, slightly more expressive. I feel like they've put a few more polygons into stuff, but it still looks kind of rubbish. So yeah, this game's set in the 80s in Vice City, which is their Miami surrogate, which was an interesting choice. I think it works mostly well. I like the setting of it, you know, everything from Michael Jackson, as you heard earlier, to, you know, Hawaiian shirts and everything. It very feels very 80s, and it works very well, I think. So yeah, some mafia business going on here. Yeah, you see, look in the background there, you'll see there was a poster for the guy from GTA 3 in the background. So, you could take out the bus of the car. Yeah, let's do a mission. Listen to some Michael Jackson, some Billie Jean. So yeah, respray is still the way you get rid of the cops mostly in this game. I think you can, again, I think you can hide from them, but the idea of the search radiuses and everything is still not really a thing in this game. I think that's San Andreas. That was interesting, though that might be 4. I don't really remember. I guess we'll find out very shortly, won't we? You know what, I'm just going to run the rest of the way. It'll be quicker. Yeah, I mean, if you look across the road, you can already see there's one of the properties you can potentially purchase. There's a lot of different properties you can potentially purchase in this game. It makes things quite interesting, I think. Sorry, I actually jumped through the marker for that mission now. See, Tommy knows how to get things done.
holding his party out in the bay on his expensive yacht, and all of Vice City's big players are going to be there, okay? I happen to know
Players.
but there's no way that I'm going out there sticking my head out the door. No way, not gonna happen.
Shut up. I'll go myself.
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, I like 1978 too, but you know, this isn't gonna be a beer and strippers do. I mean, no offense, but I think that you might turn heads on the runway for the wrong reason.
What's wrong with the way I'm dressed?
Okay, look, here. Stop by Rob's.
Okay, so this is the clothing customization tutorial. So yeah, again, another new thing that they added in Vice City. This was the first time you could really customize your character. Like Claude in 3, it's just Claude, he is what he is. In this one, you know, you need to obviously get yourself some cool threads and whatnot. Let's steal this moped. I like the fact they've added a little bit when you're on the bikes, this a little effect you can see there on the shirt kind of blowing in the wind. I think that's a pretty cool effect. Apologies for the bits where I'm not fully turning around, I'm trying to place these up. So there you go. This is in a suit Tommy Vercetti. That's some kind of greaser guy. I guess I'll steal his bike now, because he said nice bike, so that sounds a lot to me like, hey, you should borrow that guy's bike. And as I say, if you watch the collar in particular, oh man, I fell off that really easily. So yeah, physics maybe not the best still at this point in the series. Vice City, if I remember rightly, Vice City was turned around quite quickly because they were a bit surprised by just how popular 3 was. And so Vice City was it was really rushed out very quickly, but I still think they did a really good job of it, you know. I can understand why they were reluctant to call this GTA 4 at this point though, because it wasn't an evolution in the same way that between 2 and 3 was. It really is, like, it does more than, you know, some of the expansion packs to change things up, but it's still very much on that same kind of level, and it's still doing a lot of the same kind of things. But again, you can see the cinematic aspirations here. You can see a lot of the building blocks of again, what will go on to make the later GTA games. I'm just going to skip this cutscene. I don't even remember what happens, but I'm just going to skip it just for timeliness sake. And steal this Ferrari, or fake Ferrari. We'll finish off this mission, and then I think we'll move on to San Andreas. This is going really well, by the way. Still not really used to controlling this stuff. Yeah, not unlike GTA 3 starts with a mission involving a strip club, so new outfit, the safe houses, and there's like a gun store unlocked, but yeah. So yeah, some new visual effects and stuff added, some new gameplay mechanics, but again, very much kind of the same thing. Nothing too crazy, nothing too revolutionary. But again, it wasn't really supposed to be. This was just a very kind of straightforward follow-up. You know, just a very quick sequel to what was an excellent game. Here's the ammunition. We'll just run inside here and then we'll call it a day. Again, something else setting up the future games. Ammunition was in 3 as well, but again, it's more prominently featured and more in the kind of traditional way that we're used to. In this game, just show you the map. Eventually, you open up that middle island, and then this far island later on in the game, and that's got your airport. And as I say, there's missions from various characters all through the game, all across this map, and there's buildings that you can buy and side missions to do. So yeah, that's really a good look at Vice City. It is a pretty good game. It is an evolution on 3 and a step towards what San Andreas goes on to become, which is something way bigger and way crazier than I think anyone could have predicted. So let's head to San Andreas. Right, and here we are now with GTA San Andreas, which I think is probably one of the most interesting of all the ones that we're going to look at today, because it really, 3 obviously was very seminal. It was a step into not just 3D, but very much the format that we've come to know and expect in modernised GTA. But San Andreas, I think, really changed a lot of things up. It really made some big differences. So we're going to take a look at it and have a chance to just kind of mull over, if you will, some of the more interesting, finer points of San Andreas just now. So we'll just skip the intro. First things first, this is the last game on the same kind of engine that we've been looking at for all of these GTA games. But you'll notice, they've tidied it up some since Vice City and obviously since 3. So yeah, first things first, new vehicles. CJ's on a bike here. I can really make him book it. And there was obviously planes and helicopters. I mean, there was don't get me wrong, there was the Dodo in GTA 3, but planes in the kind of way that we would expect and want planes isn't really something you've gotten in this series so far. And this was a game that really stepped that up a notch. Also, I feel like tonally, this was a very different game because, tonally, this kind of goes back to, I think, what more we were looking at with GTA 1 and 2, which is it's a lot more light-hearted, it's a lot more, it's Bigfoot and jetpacks, and, dude thinks he's being abducted by UFOs, and, this is not self-serious in any way, shape or form. This is very much a game that wants you to kind of just chill out and have fun with it. And yeah, I think for the most part that tonal style kind of works in this game. I don't think it would work nowadays if the modern games went for that, because to be honest, if you want the crazy irreverent stuff, Saints Row has went so much more down that road than GTA ever has or ever could or will. So I think they've definitely got that kind of locked down. So I don't think that would work nowadays, but I think at the time, for what this was, it worked very well. I'm getting very weird graphical glitches and stuff on this. These older games have not been playing well with my system and still appear to not be. So rather than tempt fate, I'll carry on. San Andreas, really, so another thing that it really pushed forward, we've kind of seen the bike already, and we have to talk about the customization features. Like this was, you saw a little hint towards whether we're going to go with this in Vice City, with different outfits and stuff for Tommy, but it was still very much, it was a different outfit for Tommy. This was, you could customize CJ wherever you want. This is really the jumping off point for, where a lot of the customization stuff goes in the modern games of, you can go get tattoos, you can change your whole outfit, you can get your hairstyles done, you can pretty much change CJ however you want. And perhaps some of the most interesting things is, like, you can go and work out and get really strong, or you can eat lots of cheeseburgers and get really fat, as you ride the bike, which we were doing earlier. But if you ride the bike a lot, then obviously you'll burn fat, and boom, eat a cop. And I think that's a really interesting mechanic, and it's a cool way of doing things. It's also worth mentioning the kind of buying businesses and stuff from Vice City was back in this game, not as heavily, but it was back. And speaking of which, I don't think we could check out San Andreas without commenting on the world. So obviously this is, set the same kind of world as as 5, but in a very different sense. Like, this is definitely the biggest that games, certainly at the time, were doing. The game world's huge. You've got 3 essentially towns. You've got, your main town down here, which is I think that actually is San Andreas. You've got fake Vegas up there, and then you've got your San Fierro, I think it's called, which is your kind of here San Francisco stand-in. And in fact, I don't even think I'm actually zoomed all the way out. I think, yeah, I'm still not zoomed all the way out. So you've got your San Fierro, your San Francisco stand-in, and you've got up there is fake Vegas, which I forget the name of fake Vegas. And obviously you've got all these huge areas in between that are kind of countryside connecting the 3. And even 4 wasn't this big. Like, they make a big point at the time of, well, 4 is not as big, but it doesn't matter because, a lot of the areas that you'll see on the map here are very kind of empty. They're countryside areas between the kind of 3 main towns, and that was how they justified going back to a smaller scale with 4, because they said, yes, it's smaller, but we've packed it more with stuff, and it's a much better environment and map than San Andreas was. But for the time, this was super ambitious, and not so much now, I would say. I'd say obviously, like, the current GTA 5 is probably way bigger than this, even taking everything into account. But at the time, this was super ambitious and was really crazy because it's a map area that's huge and it could encapsulate essentially 3 whole cities rather than, your usual 1 city. I want to say this is also the game where I think one of the missions is you go back to Liberty City and even playing a little bit of Liberty City, and it's kind of up in the skybox. I think somewhere there's a way to like cheat your way up there. I'm not going to bother with this because, this is just a very brief kind of glance at the game. But yeah. So yeah, San Andreas moved the series forward in a lot of ways, and in a lot of ways that kind of some of which got thrown to the wayside. Let's be honest, some of which was not later revisited in 4. They kind of decided to go a different direction with that, and I think that was smart. And other stuff kind of stuck around and kind of got finessed into the current GTA formula, but they took a lot of chances. They made a lot of changes mechanically, graphically, everything top to bottom in San Andreas, and I respect that for it. I don't think it's my favourite GTA game, to be honest, but I respect that they did so much to it, and it's crazy. There's so much to do in this game. You can go gambling, you can obviously buy the businesses, you can do all the cab missions and the cop missions and ambulance and all the rest of that stuff, and there's all the side missions as well as your story missions. And there's this huge, massive world, and there's so much to do, and it's really well envisioned. And I think San Andreas, it took a long shot, and I'm not sure if it paid off, but I respect what they went for and what they were doing, and I appreciate how ambitious and crazy this game was for the time, and what that means for the kind of greater fiction for GTA as we go forward. So. I don't know why we're getting all kinds of issues here. We've got audios not playing properly, graphical glitches everywhere, but anyway, let's move on and wrap this bad boy up. Hey everyone, so here we are finally at long last at the end of our epic journey through the historic annals of Grand Theft Auto history with GTA 4. So I guess first things first, before I even launch into this, we start taking a look at it in properly. Little asterisk: the performance might be a bit terrible on this. It does not like my capture software whatsoever. It is absolutely destroying the performance on this. So in case you're thinking it's the game that's running really badly, it's not. It's my capture software is making it do that, and I've tried turning everything all the way down to see if that helps. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, this is GTA 4. The first thing that's worth mentioning is the fact that, new engine, and it looks absolutely fantastic. This doesn't quite do it justice right now because, as I say, I had to turn all of my graphical settings all the way down. But yeah, graphically it looks fantastic. And it comes with all the kind of modern accoutrements you would expect with a modern game. I'm actually, for the first time in doing all these series, I'm using a controller now, which might not seem like a big deal, and it's kind of not a big deal actually, in truth, but it is very nice to have that option. As it's explaining here, food vendors, all that kind of stuff is in there. And I kind of touched on it during Vice City, and I think, it's worth mentioning here again. It's a much smaller area in GTA 4, but to me it feels much more alive. There's more kind of cars, there's more people about, there's street vendors, there's stuff going on. It feels like, definitely at the time, it felt like the most alive and vibrant open world game. Like, at this point, obviously, this woman does not want to stop running me over. Do you mind? Jeez. At this point, there is a lot of, open world games out there. Man, the frame rate really is struggling here. But yeah, there's a lot of open world games out there by this point, and I think it's worth mentioning this really was the first time that I felt that an open world I'd been in felt like it was alive. It felt like the people in it were there for more than just, window dressing to make it look good and to make it make sense. They were actually inhabiting the world and living in it and doing things kind of their own accord, rather than just because the player character's walking past, This is not going well for me. But yeah, I think, aside obviously from the graphics, the biggest difference with GTA 4 to certainly San Andreas before it is the change in tone. It's so much more self-serious in 4, and it's probably my biggest problem with 4. I think I would genuinely love 4 if not for Nico Bellic and the serious nature of the story. Like, Nico is, he's such a bad character because he spends the whole game moaning and whining that I don't want to be doing this, I want to get out, and I've tried to leave this life behind, and then he runs off and does a mission, where he has to shoot 15 people in the face. And it's like, well, you don't seem like you do want to get out, so either you don't want to get out at all, or there's a real major cognitive dissonance between, like, the character and his motivations and what he claims, or a lot of his thinking behind what he does, and what he's actually saying. So yeah, Nico is very boring as a character. He's just a massive contradiction. He's very annoying. And that, of course, brings on to the second point, which is most of the rest of the characters aren't any better either, because they spend their whole time, hounding you. So, new to GTA 4 was this whole social element, the idea of the characters want to hang out with you outside of missions, and so they'll call you up and be like, "Hey Nico, do you want to go bowling?" And if you don't, of course, which most of the time you don't want to because you're trying to play the game, you lose respect with them, and you have to go on these stupid, excursions with characters to try and keep them all happy. I remember there being achievements for trying to keep all the characters happy, and I also remember not bothering with that achievement because it's so dumb. It's a terrible mechanic, and rightly so. They stripped that away for GTA 5. Because that mechanic was terrible. Like, it was such a bad mechanic, and the things that they did right, and they did plenty of things right in this game. That was not one of them. Like I said, I love the world that they've built here. Their fake New York in Liberty City is as good as it's ever looked. It's the best rendition, and it works really well. Although I don't really like the characters, generally the voice acting is good. The ending, I'm not going to... I mean, it's a super old game, so I feel weird saying I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm not going to spoil it in case there is anyone who maybe decides to go back and play GTA 4, but the ending of it, I feel like it was pretty well handled. A lot of people got really angry over it. I thought they handled it pretty well. So... I think, yeah, I think the ending was good. The car handling is not great in this game, but I still feel like it's kind of better than the previous GTA games. Yeah, I don't know. I really like GTA 4. I think it's a good game. It's just a shame. It could have been an amazing game if they just, came up with some better characterization, worked a little bit more, in particular on Nico's character, and also if they'd taken a stupid ass hanging out mechanic. But yeah, in general, it is a good game. Sorry, my apologies. My throat is killing me here. Probably having to narrate all these videos is doing it to me. But yeah, I mean, even with everything turned down here, this still looks nice. And, if you turn it all the way up, if you max out all the settings, it looks fantastic. Even, I tend to leave it in the medium settings because it gives you a good balance between looking amazing and performing amazing. When I'm not capturing it, I tend to leave it medium, and it works really well. So yeah, as you can see, there's been a contact added to my phone, which means if I pull up my phone, I'll have to wait outside. So I'm not able to call him just now because I'm on a mission, but yeah, that's how you get into your phone bit to call him. Let's look around, see if we can see them. I'm just going to turn off the radio just now, I think. In fact, no, I'll just put it on the work radio. Boom! Roman always got all the good lines. I got more bullets than an egg. Yeah, good job, mate. Should probably get back in Roman's car because they're not going to approve of that. So yeah, it's good with GTA 5 that they stripped out the pointless hanging out mechanics. Should back up just a little bit. I think it wasn't counting me as being in the right zone there. I think it's good they got rid of that. Obviously, they drove the graphics to 11. The environments they pushed out to 11 as well. Like they maxed out that stuff. They really cranked it out. Keep moving where it wants me to set this now. That was weird. It wasn't letting me actually use the phone for a second there. As I say, the problems I'm having with this, I think, are pretty much exclusively because I'm trying to capture as I'm playing this. It does not seem to want to do that. So yeah, this is the Grand Theft Auto series. As you can see, it's come a long way from the very beginning of this video. We were top down with high score numbers popping off of people, and it was all very colourful and ridiculous in a really stupid way. And obviously it's a lot more realistic, and with that a lot more self-serious. And I, as I said before, I think that's a good thing that it went the more self-serious route, because otherwise they'd be competing with basically Saints Row, and at this point I don't think anyone can catch Saints Row in terms of just ridiculous craziness. There's a good chance I might have just driven underneath the pole. Yeah. flipped a police car there. So yeah, this is also the beginning. I should point out this was the first game with the chase radius for the police. I'm glad that I hit that car because it reminded me of that. Yeah, they're right. That is my handbrake. So yeah, that's a mechanic I think works pretty well. I like the escape the zone for the police things. It's a little bit finicky in 4. Like if I remember rightly, it did a lot of recentering on you just as you were finally escaping them, which is really annoying. But yeah, I'm not very good at driving this stupid cab, and I've also just went right past a cop. So yeah, this is gonna go super great, isn't it? But yeah, that's GTA 4 really. It's pretty. I mean, other than that, it's pretty much the same as GTA 5. If you've seen GTA 5, which, let's be honest, you probably have at this point, unless you've been living underneath some kind of rock. Then you know what this game is. You know, like I said, there's stuff that's different. There's things I like about the way they did it. And there's things I don't. You know, obviously, with the online multiplayer, again, that was another thing that they really cranked to 11 with this stuff. In 5 with GTA Online, which is so much crazier than anything that's ever come before, and I think it does an amazing job. But yeah, that is GTA 4, and with that is the end of our retrospective of the Grand Theft Auto series. So if you've stuck with this video right the way to the end, first of all, well done, and second of all, thank you very much for doing so. I know this is going to be a really long video because it's got 6 games in it, which I'm going to have to now try and edit them so they're all presentable, which, given the problems I've had capturing them, could be fun. But yeah, nevertheless, thank you very much for watching this, and hopefully you've gained a bit more of an understanding and appreciation for just how far the GTA games have come, because they've come a long way. Like them or not, they've come a long way, and I think Rockstar have done a great job in general, and they've really honed down the formula, which with GTA 5 I think they nailed it more or less, you know. There's still things about that game that I think could have been tighter, they could have been done better, but that's another story for another day. So yeah, thanks for watching, and until next time, I will see you later.